Parry Talks. Welcome back, episode 22. Back again with another Sydney legend slash veteran. He's recently released one of my favorite EPs of the year on Soothsayer. It's the one, the only Body Corp. How you doing?
Hey, how you going, Parry?
Good, man. Hanging in
Good.
there. It's bloody freezing this morning.
Yeah.
I generally have a rule not to do these in the AM, but I thought, you know what? Stuff it. Let's go for bright and early.
Bright and early, got me out of bed at a reasonable time.
Sometimes it takes someone else, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, you've obviously you released this EP. Boom.
Oh, you got
Wax.
it.
Yeah, I got it.
Nice.
I was just like, you know what, stuff it. And I like collecting local records is a really nice thing from like the current time. So like in 30 years, I can be like, this is what we were partying to in 2019 and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this super interesting is you release it at a weird time where you release it and then the whole COVID sort of 19 era thing sort of happened instantly, like straight after. I've noticed in my behaviors, I've been reflecting a lot through this time on just absolutely everything. So how has the COVID era for you, like allowed you to reflect on the EP, and how has this reflected and, change your perspective on tracks over time after they've been released?
Yeah, like it's definitely an interesting time to put out a record, that's for sure. Like it's funny because like this weekend was like the proposed like EP tour as well. Like that's when it would like the tour would start. So yeah, it's been like, I mean, it's still been great being able to focus on actually like the release and putting out, good content or whatever, with like, Purple Sneakers backing it and stuff and all that sort of thing. So it's been like, it's definitely, there hasn't been like a negative reaction to it. That's one of the name of the tracks, if you didn't realize. I thought I'd do that.
I'm researched.
No, it's been good. Like it would have been great to do a tour for sure. But yeah, Soothsayer guys and people there have like handled it so well, and like the response has been great. And it's just allowed me to kind of focus and work on the next body of music. So yeah, I'm just like putting together the next EP pretty much that we probably will wait to release for a little while until the smoke settles.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Beautiful. And I was going to ask this a bit later to tell the narrative of it, but we're already here. Obviously, you've wrote these tracks over a pretty long period of time. How has it been going back to the drawing board? And has COVID-19 sort of helped you refocus on going back to the drawing board, rewriting tracks after, spending a lot of time on one EP?
Yeah, well, so like, I started that EP ages ago, like with one track pretty much. I think it was Soft Expression. Like that was like the oldest track. And to be honest, I didn't touch that at all. Coming back to it with the release of the EP, like I may have mixed it, but I didn't really rework any of the like the recordings or anything like that. It was, to me, it just was done. So I was just happy with it. The other tracks, they kind of developed over time. So I think like Landing was next, and that one there went through a few different renditions, and like the early demos sound completely like distasteful and like horrible in comparison to, where it is now. But I think I got them all to a point where I was really happy with the overall sound, and I didn't want every song to sound the same as well on that EP. I wanted it to kind of showcase a variety of different styles of music that I like. I mean, it's all like dance music, but I think it all has different texture, and they could. I feel like with that EP, you could play one song and you could have thought it's a different artist or something in comparison to, say, You Don't Know or something, or one of those other tracks. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. But yeah, I've just like literally now I'm just now the sort of new stuff that I'm working on has been developed in a shorter span of time. So that's kind of getting reworked a lot more. And I'm, you know, I'm up to like my freaking 10th version of one track, and like it's driving me nuts, but you just got to do it.
Exactly. And we'll dig into the tracks now as well. We're here already. My favorite is Negative Reaction. And I don't know if it's just, and like my favorite parts of that track, obviously it's got those electro tinges, but when it goes from breaks to 4/4, like there's that run in the middle there. It's like,
oh, cool. Yeah.
perfect. I love it. Like building that track. And I think it is probably one of the heavier ones dance wise on it. I'd say. What was your initial aim in building that track, and how did it just come together?
Oh, good question. Like I just like, I think that was my point with that track as well. So good pick up on that. Like, you know, starting it a bit more breaky and like off kilter with the drums, and then like dropping it into that 4/4 beat was definitely. I just wanted to write a track like that, and I love nice chords and pads and stuff. So I wanted to kind of write a pretty like sort of minimal, not too over the top sort of dance track. And I guess like Negative Reaction came out. From that. Yeah, that was probably the one I wrote the last, and that's probably, I think, funnily enough, that I keep fighting between Soft Expression and that track as my favorite one and the one I'm most proud of on the release.
Yeah,
I think Soft Expression to me has more of a like a timelessness for me anyway. And then I think Negative Reaction's probably next. Yeah, but yeah, I was happy with that one.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask as well, and it might just be me being a bit nerdy or whatever, but the vocal chops in the opener in are like so eerie and brilliant in landing. Like what are they? Like how do you find them?
Which
in landing, sorry.
In landing, or
yeah,
I can't even remember the vocal chops.
There's like
there.
it's like a shouting scream or something. Or like it sounds like it might not even be a vocal chop. It might be like, I don't even know, but there's this noise.
Like, well, a lot of the samples, like the vocal sort of sounding samples on that, are either like my Korg M1, or like there's a vocal patch on there that you can like post recording, you can manipulate it really nicely. But then there's also I took like heaps of samples when I went to Japan in like 2012 of just like train guards, you know, announcements and things like that. And those actually feature as just like a lot of textual things in the EP altogether. They probably feature the most in You Don't Know though. Like that vocal sample in You Don't Know is all just like a cut up train guard doing an announcement from like Shibuya to I think we were going from Tokyo to Kyoto or something like that. And I just had my phone on record like the whole time, and then just went with it.
Yeah, that's so brilliant. And yeah, and I think texturally, I think that's what's most attractive to it. And like you say that each track sort of sounds different, but texturally, I think they're all pretty similar in terms of like there's a
Cool.
care for the textures, and I think that's what sort of unifies them, for me anyway. And you've spoken about Japan, so was a lot of the EP written in Japan? Like how does Japan sort of filter into this whole thing?
Not really. I mean, like Japan's an influence for sure because of, you know, history of music there and culture, and you know, it's a great country. But like the only sort of, I guess, feature from like Japan in that whole EP is like those samples, like those sample recordings, like the you know, the environment and vocal samples that I, you know, recorded and stuff. But otherwise it sort of all happened like through the years afterwards, you know. So I think, Soft Expression, I started that when I was living in Petersham at mum's place, and then it went through about 3 or 4 different houses or something, that whole EP or something, like it evolved over time. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Let's sort of take it back a bit. And I think the Body Corp story is super interesting, where you're a man of many talents, you could say, obviously with Retiree. And then, but at the same time as well, what I found super interesting was
it's all smoke and mirrors, man. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Don't reveal the secrets. And then obviously, and like I first found out about you just DJing around Sydney as Marco Vella. Why do you think that it was necessary for you to launch the musical process, the musical sort of project as Body Corp, sort of separate to what was already becoming established in Sydney's underground as Marco Vella?
I feel like, so the Body Corp project, I kind of go back and forth with this all the time. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do? But I feel like Body Corp was made more for dance music, like for producing dance music, whereas like my Marco Vella stuff, that I feel I lean towards the more ambient side of production and whatnot when I'm writing as Marco Vella, and then when I'm DJing as well, like I feel the gigs I get as, say, Marco Vella are more that sort of, bar gig, or a little bit less, or like, more on that Balearic tip and like a little less dancey, sort of set. Whereas the Body Corp stuff's usually like late night and it's like dance, it's like club orientated and stuff like that. So I kind of like having that degree of separation between the two. But now I'm kind of thinking, and COVID and ISO has made me think about it quite a lot. Whether I just run with the one thing and then just produce it all under one name and do that.
It's a super interesting thing, because I feel like in electronic music and dance music, more than any other genre, people have a lot more side projects for their different sounds and that sort of thing. Whereas like in, say, like rap or pop music, like it's like an expectation for people to evolve and do something different every time. Otherwise, like, what's the point? But in dance music, it's like, no, you stay in your lane. If you're an electro producer, you make electro. And it's super interesting like that, like how socially like tense it is, where it's like, don't evolve. Like, why is more grab making techno now? Like, go back to making lo-fi. Like that sort of whole thing. It's super interesting.
I don't mind both. I don't mind both sides of that. Like, I think it's kind of, it's an interesting discussion, because like I think evolution is really good, especially in music, and like when you see musicians evolve, and like, the first like recordings that I did, I hope heats, less refined or not as say good as recordings that I'll do later on down the track. And I think that's just part of like evolving as a musician and like figuring out what equipment you really like, and how you're set up at home or how you're set up in a studio, and how your workflow is and how it all comes together. But I think in dance music, it's just part of its culture that like you do run different aliases, and like, you might do like a breaks album or something, and then under another alias you'll do like like an electro or whatever, or an ambient record or whatever. But I kind of like, and that's like nice in discovery as well, like when you're like looking for music and you find an amazing record and you're like, oh, like, who is this person? And then you notice that they're like, oh, it's so and so or whatever, and I like that.
And I think, and you already hinted at it as well, it's like there's an anonymity with dance music that doesn't really exist in other genres as well, where it's like like even DJs in clubs are sort of hidden behind the decks in like dark rooms and that sort of thing. So it's less about who's DJing or who's making the music and just what the music is. So there's a lot more like freedom to live underneath an alias. And
it kind of gives you that, like, it gives you that maybe like a sense of what you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
And there's just less of an ego about it, I guess, that way as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And obviously you play it in the band as well, Retiree,
Yeah.
which I think definitely is dance music inspired, but it's not as, you know, clubby or dance heavy as, say, the Body Corp stuff. But
Yeah.
what is like melding all together these different sort of projects taught you about finding your sound or finding a sound for Body Corp?
Still trying to find it. Hey.
The lesson is that you will never find your sound.
Yeah. That's going back to, you know, evolving. I think it's just I think it'll change over time as well. But you know, the guys with Retiree, that's, you know, we write like music for live performance and like for the band, and like Tori's an amazing lyricist. Like he writes amazing, beautiful lyrics, and like it just, you know, it just works really well with that. With and that's sort of, you know, why I did like the Body Corp stuff as well, because I wanted to do, because I love DJing and I love, you know, going out to clubs and stuff. So I wanted to do something that would kind of get me more into that sort of area of music. And like the Retiree stuff is it's more like I mean, to me, it has more substance in how I sort of perceive it, because it's just like very. When we record, we go back and forth. Like I think we're up to like on our new record that we're recording at the moment, we're up to like 100 versions of a song. You know, like, and you know, Tori's in Melbourne, Matt and I are in Sydney, so it's this whole collaborative thing that happens predominantly online, and then we might book a studio, you know, for a few days to record some stuff. But I just feel like the process is it's a lot more. It's exhausting, but it's a lot more meaningful than like just writing by yourself.
Yeah.
In a way. So, what was the question?
I don't even know. I think
I just rambled.
I like the point that you make of like there's obviously like the whole meaningful thing, and like how can people make electronic music more meaningful?
Yeah.
Especially from the recording point of view. Have you started collaborating with people? Has collaboration been sort of something you want to try out because of that Retiree influence and how that process works as well?
I've like collaborated with people in the past, and like one person that I really like enjoy collaborating with, and probably like only sort of have most recently, and also probably will, is Max Santilli. So I don't know if you know Max, but he records under Angofra. And so he's probably got one of the best DJ collections in the world. And he's also just an amazing musician. And so we've recorded some stuff together, and yeah, like it just depends. Like sometimes you hit it off with people as well, and other times you just don't, you know, like you might respect that other person's output and their music, but there's just no connection there whatsoever. I feel like when I was younger, I'd try to put more time into that, like trying to find the connection. But now I'm just like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then, you know, just move on.
Yeah, exactly.
But Max and I recorded some really nice stuff, and we've played live together a couple of times and whatnot. And yeah, those recordings and those like live shows that we've done have been really like inspiring for me, for sure, for even just my like music writing for the Marco Vella stuff, and also for Body Corp and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there are definitely some, you know, good collaborations out there to be had.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I like asking this, and I asked the same thing to Jen Lovelace, and she had a super interesting answer. And I wondered if it was more coincidence for you, or it was a bit more strategic for you. But obviously, when you've been writing music for so long, how do you decide that now was the time to put the EP out, or that now was the time that the EP was finished for you?
Yeah. With so Soothsayer hit me up and got in touch in like 2018 about doing a release, and then it kind of like the tracks were almost, they were like bar Negative Reaction, they were all almost done, and we just didn't have a remix for it. Which we then got Francis Inferno Orchestra Griff to do the remix, and he did an amazing remix of Negative Reaction.
Man.
Yeah, it's so
Burner,
good.
yeah.
I don't think I've listened to a song at 150 BPM in quite a long time. Yeah, it's pretty speedy. It's great though.
I gotta send you some of my playlists. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, do it. I need to up the speed a little bit, I think. But yeah, like it like the process just took a while with putting it out, and I was always ready. Like for me, those songs were like always, like they were always pretty much done from when, you know, when they were done a couple of years ago. In a way, they just like needed a little bit of refining and whatnot. But yeah, I was pretty hungry as well to get something out, because, you know, I've been writing music for quite some time now. And like, you know, I've done a couple, like I did a track on Pelvis's DJ Tools thing a few years ago or something like that. And then a couple of other small little compilation and like, you know, other releases and stuff, but nothing that I was like, that I had, well, that I wanted to give full focus to, and that other than the Retiree stuff.
Yeah.
But as a solo artist, that came with the Soft Expression EP.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, if we were ready to put it out a couple of years ago, I would have definitely done it, because I was definitely so excited to put it out. And it's still like so exciting just to kind of get it out there and hear the response from friends and from other people, and you know, doing things like this, it's just great because it motivates me to write more music, and that's what matters, you know. That's what I just want to keep writing music. So yeah.
And I think this is a super interesting point, maybe from a bit more of a nerdy point of view from my perspective, but how is it finishing the last 10% of the tracks for you? Because I feel a lot of artists, sometimes when they sit on music, when they go back to finish the tracks, like that last 10%, it can be so difficult.
You have to let go. You just have to let go. Otherwise you just don't finish it, you know. Like there's like, I'll listen to You Don't Know or whatever and be like, oh fuck, I could have turned down that snare, hey, you know, like you just have to let go. Like I think the last 10% is definitely mix time, and you have to get it to a point that you're happy and proud of it. But then you've just got to sign it off, send it to the label, and then let them get it mastered, and then see you later.
Yeah.
You know?
Give me the release date.
Yeah, because there's we do like at the moment with Retiree, we're currently writing our next record, and we've like pretty much just signed off on it, kind of pre-mix stage, but it's just taken us so long to get there. You know, there's so many back and forths, and like you end up just tweaking a snare for like half an hour or something. You're like, oh my god, just get rid of the snare and get a new one or something, you know, like replace it.
Start all over again.
Yeah.
Another super interesting point as well, it might be my inner nerd, but like the Soothsayer relationship super interesting as well, because probably had a couple of different options, you know, how to release the EP, you go self-release, or because you release on other labels as well, imprints before. Why was
Yeah.
Soothsayer, do you think, the right one for you, and what sort of influenced that decision?
Look, they got in touch with me, in like 2018 about putting something out, and like they've, they worked with like Sam Weston in particular, who's another artist I really respect and really enjoy listening to. And they just, we met up and we had a little meeting and stuff, and I really liked the vibe of Tig and Chris. Tig was working for them. He owned part owned Soothsayer at the time. He's retired from the music industry now, but yeah, we just met up, and I just really liked their vibe, and like the music that they put out, it ranges. It's quite versatile too, and I think I like that about a label. Like it's not just, as you can see, like I like writing for different sort of genres and whatnot.
Yeah.
Through Retiree and through the Marco Vela ambient stuff. So I was kind of into that aspect of it, like them being a bit more versatile and like having, good reach, and essentially I just wanted to put the record out with a label that would, nurture it and not just like put it out and then it just got, it disappeared in the mix. So, and they've been really good like that. They've like, I've learnt heaps from them too. It's been a really good like learning experience for me. And yeah, the guys there are great. They're so efficient, and yeah. So
Brilliant.
They hit me up. I was like, cool, let's do it.
I was scared asking that question just in case, like, I've got a shit relationship with my label. I need out of my deal. Yeah. Hear it all too often. It's usually
signed up for 10 releases with them, man. Get me out.
They earn 100% of my masters. No. Super interesting. Yeah.
Opera royalties, no.
I think another super interesting thing as well is when writing an EP over a long amount of time, what do you think you learned most about producing throughout the entire process? And what do you think became most prevalent, like learning wise for you as a technical producer over the years?
That's a good question. Like, I feel I'm forever learning. I feel I produce the best when I'm in a comfortable environment and like everything's set up, just connected to each other, and yeah, like at the moment my studio is really nicely set up, so my output is really consistent, and it's also just, I'm writing heaps of music at the moment. Like I'm loving it. It's great, I feel like I wish, because I'm like I studied music at school, but I didn't continue to practice it as in terms of music theory or anything like that. So everything I write, I know a little bit of music theory, but it's not like, I'm not a technical musician like that at all. Like it's all pretty much off ear, So I think with that, there's a lot of back and forth with recording and writing the right chords and whatnot.
Yeah.
That suit, but that's what I like about experimenting with it all. I like the kind of inconsistency and what's the word for it? Just not really knowing where it can go next.
Yeah.
And I think that works well with dance music as well, But yeah, like I think having a really comfortable setup to record in makes all the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. And this question might be a bit left field. It might flop, but I think another super interesting thing, because I relate to it a lot as well, is especially in Sydney dance, there's an ingrained fashion culture, and especially with like the sort of community you associate with as well, just like based off my deep social stalking as well. There's obviously that like strong fashion element and design element, I think, as well, which is pretty hardcore in Sydney dance, like Australian underground dance scenes.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything in fashion that inspires your music, or anything from like the design world, the visual world, that also inspires the sonic world for you?
Not fashion at all, really. Like I like clothes and stuff, and I like nice design. But yeah, fashion doesn't really play its part in that at all. Design does, for sure. Like especially with um, like like ambient music writing, because I you know I'll be inspired by a space, for
Mm.
example, that has like nice design, or you know, like a nice gallery or a nice museum will inspire me in a way. Um, I think I think out of everything though, people inspire me the most, and also like other musicians and stuff inspire me the most. But yeah, like design is and that sort of thing. Um, it doesn't play its part in the Body Corp music at all. That's all inspired by going out, listening to other great music, um, friends. You know,
Yeah.
the experiences you have with them. Um, you know, like I show a lot of my demos to friends, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," or "That's a bit cheesy," or you know, you might want to fix that snare. It sounds like shit. But yeah, it's mainly the design aspect and all that sort of thing, and the visual side of music is probably it plays more on the on my ambient music writing. And then like the dance music is just completely
Yeah.
inspired by like other what other people put out, and also, you know, other parties that I go to or whatever, and just people in general.
There you go. At least I tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, because I think,
Good
I don't
try.
know. I think you might. I haven't told this story on the podcast yet, but I think you might find it funny.
Yeah.
We're at the Pelvis Classy Rex party, and
Yeah.
our friends have just like, we like just taking the piss out of everything. So
Yeah.
we were upstairs on the dance floor, and I
Yeah.
like just pretending to arc up to my friend, being like, "You're not wearing Pam, you're not wearing Pelvis, you're not wearing a Pam Stockers tee. What are you doing here?" And like pretended to shirt front him.
Shit.
And then one of my friends, like this other random person, was like, "Man, stop bullying him. Like, he might not be able to afford it and stuff." And we were like, "Oh my God."
That
Like,
me.
that is the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah, we like Ryan's in Pelvis, and like that's sort of, you know, our close friends and stuff, and you kind of you you find, and like Marto works at Pam and whatnot, and you sort of find yourself like I'm like, you know, I'll look through my wardrobe or whatever and be like, fuck, I need to get some new clothes and stuff, because it's just like all the same stuff, but you know, they got the hookups, so
Yeah.
you gotta hit them up.
At the same time, it's nice having like an ingrained culture like that, where it's like you'll go out
Yeah,
to a party and people will be wearing like a brand that you really like as well, a local brand
yeah.
too. It's everyone just supporting local stuff.
And yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's a bit of a connection within the community, and yeah,
Oh shit! I just realized.
yeah, it's good.
I actually didn't.
I need to get one of those. I don't even have one of those. I'm gonna hit Ryan up. I'm like, wait, where's mine, dude?
Man,
Sold out.
I'm not on the. I'm not on the guest list for Pelvis
Yeah,
yet,
don't worry.
so
Bye.
we're still paying full price. I think next time there's a Pelvis party in Sydney, I'll ask for a +1. See how it goes. See how it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah. I'll see what I can do for you, dude.
Final couple of questions, because that was
Yeah,
at least half an hour that flew by. And I should have.
yeah,
I feel bad doing this to you, because I should have asked you this. I should have told you I was going to ask these questions, because they can put people on the spot. It's a bit rude.
yeah.
First one is, do you have a favorite or like iconic mixes or boiler rooms that you love?
The best mix that I've ever experienced in my life
Yeah.
has got to be Digi Mason's live performance, for Boiler Room.
Wow.
That's a special one. Yeah, yeah. Have you listened to it?
I have, of course.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
that just in context of like where I've listened to it and who I've listened to it with is just like, yeah, it's magic.
Damn, you
Yeah.
answered that quick. So many people like
Yeah,
just like, oh, like you
I
thought
know
of
that.
it.
I've got that answer down pat. Hey.
And the next one and the final one.
Yeah.
I like getting people to like neck nominate someone to come on, or someone that you think would, you know, tell a good story or should have their story told. Like a
Yeah.
friend or whatever. Who do you think should pull up on Parry Talks?
I reckon hit up Max Santilli. He's just put out a record recently, and like he's just a really interesting guy to talk to about music and his whole you know ideology about music and his recording process. Like he'll probably hate me for the recommendation, but I reckon you should hit him up because he'd be a great person to chat with. Yeah.
Hectic.
Yeah.
Parry Talks, episode 22.
Great. That
Bloody
was
cool.
good.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed
Anytime,
it.
brother.